Hey guys, welcome back to Linda's Resin Room. So I have a co-worker who recently lost their dog, their little fur baby, a few days ago. And she is wanting his collar put into a pyramid mold. So we are going to make her a pyramid mold for her little fur baby. There's something on the mold, got to get it off. Alright, I have his collar here. I've already got it folded up to how I want it to stick down in there. It has the little alien from Toy Story on there. He was a German Shepherd. He was a big dog. He was beautiful. So we're going to do the greens and the blues. So our first little part down in there, I'm going to use the Pearl X apple green because to me it looks like the closest green that I have to the little alien face. So we're going to put a little scoop of this in there. And I haven't mixed this resin up yet. This is 22 gram part A, 25 gram part B. It is a 1-to-1 resin. It is meant to be mixed by volume. But Julie Cuts from Pouring Your Heart Out, on some of her old videos, she used to post this chart of how she mixed 3-to-1, 2-to-1, and 1-to-1 resins. And it has never failed me. I end up using just about both parts of each resin and don't have leftovers when I use her chart. Because when you get resin, if you measure it, part A always weighs more than part B. So she has already took the guesswork out and figured all that up, and it works awesome. Alright, we may not need all of this down in there. We'll kind of guess as I pour it. But our first layer is going to be this green. I'm going to mix it up for 3 minutes. And then we will put the collar in. I'll put it in upside down, of course, which is how I have it sitting. Let me turn that heater off. Alright, and once we put the collar in, we're going to do clear, and we're going to put just a little tiny bit of crushed crystal in there. And I will use deep pour for that. Once that has cured up, then I have 2 different blues because there's 2 blues in his outfit. I have the Sapphire Blue from Pearl X Jacquard and this little Piggy Blue Eyes that I think matches that closest that we will put for the bottom layers. And she doesn't know, but I'm going to try to put lights in the bottom so that it can light up a little bit. And I think it'll light up through those colors. I hope it looks good anyways. Alright guys, I'm going to mix this up for my total 3 minutes, and then I will see you back after I get it out of the debubbler. Alright guys, so I tried to put this in the debubbler, and I just couldn't get it to debubble. It just kept bubbling up more and more. So we did it for 10 minutes, but hopefully the bubbles come out of this. I just know I don't want one right down in there in that tip. So let's see. Of course, I'm going to have to alright. Said I don't want much down in there because when I go to set this down in there, I want it to be able to sit far enough, and I think that'll be okay. Now, let's get something, toothpick, and I'm going to poke right down in that tip in case there's any bubbles down in there. I want to release them. I don't see any, but you know, you never can tell. Rather be safe than sorry. And this dried green resin up the sides, I will clean all of that off once it hardens, because then it will just come right off with a piece of tape, and I'll get all that cleaned. Alright, so we're going to let this set to the side, and this is going to be our collar that we'll put in there next, and then we'll fill it with some deep pour with a little bit of the crushed crystal. Let it set, and then we'll do our layers of blue. So I got quite a bit of green left. What do I want to do with green? Well, I don't know. I don't have a little. Yeah. Here we go. A little mushroom here. We were working on filling him up. Now there's going to be some bubble in there if I don't squeeze this out. There we go. So let's finish filling this. Okay, and then I have a purple snail here. He needs finished filled up. Okay, let's squeeze his little antenna. There's a bubble. There's a second bubble. Turn it this way. Usually the bubbles come out of him pretty good. There's another bubble. Okay, let's see. There's a little tiny bubble. Trying to get it to pop. All right. Finish with him. Now I guess we can start on another mushroom. Just so that we don't waste it. Get all of this out. It's a pretty green, isn't it? Alright, scrape this cup one time around. And that is it. That's all she wrote. Clean this stick off and throw it to the side. Alright guys, that one we'll have to work on another video. We'll let these cure up, let that cure up, and then we'll come back for part 2. I'll see you guys then. Alright guys, so our first layer's cured up. I still have to clean this out and get all those pieces out, but I'm going to go ahead and mix my resin. I'm going to use a deep pour 2-to-1 resin. This is the MTB JZJ. Can pour up to 4 inches thick. It says slow drying, but it's completely cured in 24 hours. Crystal clear, bubble free. We'll try this. I'm hoping it doesn't give me as many bubbles. So I got out my big cups. These are, I don't know, 1,000 milliliter cups by Let's Resin. There is a cat hair. That has to be from Junior. All right, so I'm going to put this on here. It's zeroed out. I'm using a. You can do this by volume, but pouring your heart out. I'm using the chart that I always use that she has. So I'm going to do 107 gram of this one and 250 gram of the part A. So part B is going to be 107 gram. Let's get this open. I hate these full things on these. I have the hardest time getting those to open properly. And I find the craft knife helps a little better than anything else. Just clean that off. All right, let's do 107 gram. Let it catch up. I'm hoping this one doesn't bubble as much as the other one. I've never used this brand. I forgot I even had it. But I want this to be really pretty. And I don't want to mess it up. So we're going to use this one. Okay, 107. All right. Now, part A is 250. Part A always weighs more than part B. Can't get that off. And that's why the weight, when you do it this way, is a little different than if you did volume. But I have found that every time I do this way, I end up using just about every bit of both parts and don't have so much part A left over. All right, 250. All right, 250. I'll move that out of the way. Now, she does want a little bit of the crushed crystal in there. I did ask, because y'all know I like to put a little bit of crushed crystal. I don't want a lot. I just want a little tiny bit. I want more than that. It's flying away on me. Did y'all see that? Maybe I just don't like the resin. I even held my breath as I did it just to make sure it wasn't me blowing it around. Oh, I hope that's not too much now. Alright guys, I'm going to mix this up, set it to the side, and it doesn't look like it's getting any bubbles, so I'm thankful for that. After I mix this up, then I'm going to take the lights. I chose blue. And I'm going to glue it inside of the collar. And I'm going to try to make it where it's sticking straight up the center. That way when I put the color coats down, then it will be hidden and you won't see it. So that's what I'm hoping for. Alright guys, I'm going to finish mixing this up and then we'll come back and work on the lights. Alright guys, so I don't know how much it's recording and how much it's not because this camera just keeps kicking off. But what I'm doing is I'm trying to tape this together and I'm just gluing some lights down inside the collar. That way we can have lights when, and I think it'll look really pretty. And these are blue lights. So I'm just taking UV resin and I'm putting a little dab on the light. And then I'm just using my light here to hold it in place. It doesn't take long to do this because I'm also going to put it under my big light to make sure it sets. I'll put it under there for 5 minutes just to make sure. I just want to make sure I get these lights good and hooked around in there because I want them to be really pretty. And I think this will be really pretty lit up. So we are just, my bottle's getting empty. It's still got quite a bit in there. Just takes a minute to get it to come down where I set it back up. I'm doing this part first because this is going to go in upside down. So this will be in there first. And then I'm going to have the lights come out the other end. That way I can put them in the color when we get to that part. These are 7-inch lights. So I think it will be plenty to do this whole thing. Alright, let's turn this upside down here and see if I can pull all these lights on through without messing it up. Get them untangled. Okay. Get my collar stacked where I want it. My tape's not working out so hot, holding it in place. But it's the best I can do. Okay. Now let's get some lights glued back here on the back side. Okay. I wish that would really stay taped together. That tape's just not doing anything. Well, that piece is folded over. Alright. Try that. See if that will work any better for me. Throw that away. Alright guys, I'm just going to finish gluing these lights up here. And then I'll be back when we're ready to put it in there. So I'll see you shortly. Alright guys, so I got my light finished glued up. Got a little bit left to put in the top layer there. I dumped my resin into 2 different cups because my big cup was too big to put in my debubbler. So I have 12 ounces. And we're going to pour a little bit of this down in there first because there's a little hole in that green resin. And I want to just introduce bubbles. Do you see me? I want to make sure I get some resin down in that little green hole because I don't want there to be a a bubble in the piece. Okay, got it filled in. Now, where is my heat gun here? Let those bubbles come on up. I'm going to have to be more careful. Alright. See if I can get them to come to the top. I know I'm probably going to get some bubbles in here. Okay. Let's put our little collar down in here. And hopefully we can get this filled up enough with the resin. I'm hoping this doesn't introduce bubbles. I can't really see down in there. Go all the way around. Because I know this is touching the sides. And I want to make sure I get this really well. Okay. Scrape all of this out. The good thing is this is a really thin resin. So I think all those bubbles will come to the top and they'll pop. Or I'm hoping anyways. And I'll probably have to do 2 pours this way. This resin can only go to 4 inches. Scrape this cup. Okay, and turn this one upside down over here and let it drain. So I'll get all my little extra scrap pieces. Alright. Here goes the next. Like I said, I want to make sure I've got that collar coated really well. Try to readjust it how I want it. Don't really see any bubbles. Maybe one down in there. This bit a few in. I'm scraping the cup. Try to get all of this out. Okay, let me turn this one upside down. Well, all my stuff's falling. Okay. I don't want this collar sticking out anywhere. I'll definitely have to do another layer. Trying to make sure if there's any bubbles along the sides that I'm breaking them loose. So I can always fill them back in afterwards. Which I'm sure I'll have a few. I'd really like to get that part where you could see it. Kind of tilt him up a little more. There we go. I hope he stays there. Wipe my fingers off. Alright. Alrighty guys, we will let that cure up. Turn this cup upside down. Come on. And clean my stick off here. Alright. I see one little bubble there on the side. Another bubble over there. Alright guys, I believe that's it. I don't see any anywhere else. But we will let that cure up. I'm hoping I didn't put too much glitter. Let's see how the lights are. I don't know if you'll be able to see them. I didn't want to put them on the outside, but anyways, we will, I want that more toward the center. There we go. We'll let this cure up and then we'll come back when it's time to do the next little bit of clear. So I'll see you guys then. Alright guys, so this is cured up enough that I can put the next layer in there. It's still really soft, which is what I want because of it's going to be another layer of clear. And I've mixed up another 360 ounces of resin with just a little bit of the crushed crystal in it like we did with the first layer. I put it in the debubbler, but it's got all these little micro bubbles on top. I got just about all of them. So I've let it set for just a minute and try to pop what I can. It doesn't have many left, but I don't want bubbles down in this piece. So I'm hoping that all of these will dissipate on their own. But I don't want to pour them down in the mold. And I'm just letting them float around and then taking the heat gun and popping what's on top. So we don't have many left. Let's just pour this in. And hopefully this will look good. I do not want to mess this up for her. And I may not need all of this, but I really think I will. This is a thick collar. He's a German Shepherd. And he still needs just a little bit more. I think 4 more ounces might do this. So this afternoon, I will add 4 more ounces of clear. That way it'll give this time to cure up some. This is deep pour. Same deep pour I used earlier. I would do it now, but I've got to get to work. I don't have time to try to get the bubbles out. So it's going to have to wait. But at least we got that much in there. Clean this stick off here. Now, hopefully, those little tiny bubbles in there will come to the surface and pop. I think there's resin going into the clip. So see the bubbles coming out. Yeah, I think it's filling the clip up. I didn't think about that. I've got about 12 minutes that I can watch this and make sure I get the bubbles popped. But if I don't, then I can drill them out before I put my next little bit of clear. And you'll never know they were there. It'll fill them in. Because I think that's going to go on for a while. All right, guys, we'll let this cure up some and come back for another little clear coat. I see a bubble stuck onto that. There we go. Stuck onto the collar. All right, guys. I'll see you back when it's time to do the next layer. All right, guys. So I have mixed up another 143 gram of resin. And I put just a little bit of the crystal in it. This is 4 ounces. Is what's measuring on the cup. Let me tell you, I put it in the debubbler, and all it did was create micro bubbles all the way to the top. I'd have to release air over and over. I can't get them all out with deep pour and the bubble remover. So we're just going to pour this in here, and this resin is still liquidy, but I think all these bubbles will dissipate because of they did with the rest of it. This resin stays liquid for so long that it easily releases the bubbles and degasses. Deep pour resins do. They're liquid. See if we can scrape whatever else is left in this cup. Usually you can get out just about everything using the deep pour, just because of it is so liquid. It just flows. And I think that's got us covered. Try to get those last little drops out there. And let that drip off. One more little drop. All right, turn this cup upside down. Let it drain. I'm going to clean this stick. Now let's see. I really think all these bubbles will go away on their own. All right, guys. I think we're good as far as how deep it needs to be. Then we can start doing our next 2 layers of blue. I'm going to do a very thin layer of blue because I want to put some lights in it.
And then I'll do another layer of the same color blue. There looks like there is a hair on that mold right down in there. I want to see if I bet that's one of his hairs. She said leave his hair in it, so we're going to leave his hair in there. But we'll do a thin layer of the blue, let it cure up, glue on the rest of the lights, and then we will do the last layer of the other blue. Alright guys, I'm just going to watch this for a little bit, try to get rid of these bubbles, and I'll see you back when this has cured up and time to do the next layer. I'll see you guys then.
Hey guys, so this is cured up. So I have 4 ounces of resin mixed up. I'm going to put in a little bit of this Blue Eyes, and then I'm going to throw it in the debubbler because that's going to be your next layer. I've got something already on it. I don't want to press it down in there. I want to get that off. There we go. Okay. I don't want to make this very heavy because I do want to be able to see through it. So I'm just going to try one little scoop. Let's see if that will be enough. So I do want this layer to be the layer that I glue the lights to. Yeah, that's plenty. You can see it. It's still transparent, so it'll let my light shine through, but you'll have that solid look of color through that layer too, so you won't see the lines, hopefully, from the light. So I'm just going to mix this up really well, and then I'm going to put it in the debubbler, and then we will come back and pour this in. Let's get that powder off the stick. I don't want clumps of powder floating around in this piece. Alright guys, I'm going to get this in the debubbler and I will be right back. Alright, so I got my resin out of the debubbler. Now let's just pour this in here. And like I said, I just want a thin layer. I want to be able to get my lights through it. Okay. I think that's all I'm going to do with that. And we will let this cure up, and then we'll come back, put the lights, and then come back and do the dark blue on top of this. So I'll see you guys then.
Okay guys, so this has cured up to where we can glue the rest of our lights down, but I want to mix up our color and resin, get it in the debubbler, and then we'll come back and glue the lights. So I have the Pearl X Sapphire Blue by Jacquard that I'm going to put a good scoop in there. I have 8 ounces of resin in my my container. I haven't mixed it yet because there's no point in mixing your resin then putting color in it and mixing it again. So I'm just going to mix it all at the same time. I'm hoping 8 ounces will be enough to fill this up, and I think it will. But I'm going to glue the lights down first, and then we will put our resin on top. Isn't that a pretty color? Alright guys, I'm going to finish mixing this up, get it in the debubbler, and we'll be back to glue some lights. I'll be back in just a second. Alright guys, I don't think I'm going to put my resin in the debubbler. I think I'm just going to let it degas on its own. There's no ridges on top of this for that to get stuck in, so I'm not worried about that. Now let's UV resin, and we are just going to start putting, I may have to get another bottle. This one's starting to run dry on me. I'm going to cover the light with clear. I don't want it to This is still soft. I don't want the light to be covered in the dark resin to where it won't shine. So I'm going to try to cover each of the lights with some UV. And then I'll put the UV light, my larger one, on top of it for 5 minutes. So I'm going to take that and I'm just going to take this around. I'm going to have to, I'm putting some little divots down in it by pressing too hard. Well, actually, I think it's going to stay. I'll still reinforce it. I'm just going to press it down into the resin. And then I'll reinforce it with some UV. Because you're not going to see any of this. Okay, I don't have really a whole lot of lights to put in this layer left. I do want to kind of get that over to the corner there. Okay, now I'm going to take all my UV here. I could leave it like this and it would cure up in the resin, but I want to go ahead and get my next layer on before this completely cures, so you don't have no visible separation of color. I think I missed one right here. Oops, sorry guys. Let me fix the camera. I knocked it out of whack. Sorry about that. Y'all know it's not me if I don't at least do one screwball something hitting the camera. I think I'll be able to throw this away after. Okay. I believe that is empty. Alright. I do want to put some right in the center though, where those lines are crossing. Come on, I know you've got enough in there to... I probably should store this upside down to get the rest that's down in there out. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my big light. And I'm going to get this over top here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Put it on 5 minutes. I'll see you back in 5. Alright guys, so I've got all of this cured up. I did tape the controller to the side because it was pulling the lights back up. So let's just, fingers crossed that this is enough to finish filling this mold. Isn't that a beautiful color? I think we're going to be perfect. I hope this looks good when I demold it. It always makes you nervous when you're making something for somebody like this that has something that means something to them. This is very special to her, and I do not want to mess it up. I hope it turns out gorgeous. Okay, scrape out everything that I can, make sure none of it's wasted, and that we fill it up as much as we can. I'm not going all the way to the top. I'll probably have a little lip to trim off, but I'm okay with that because I don't want to overflow it. And this is a very large mold. I hope she likes the colors. She did say blue and green since that's what was in the collar. And that's why we did blue and green. And I tried to match it the best I could to the colors that were in there. I'm just hoping I didn't use too much sparkle. I'm really worried about that. Use too much, you can't see through it. Alright, let's turn that cup up and we will let that drain. Clean this stick off. Alright guys, let's let that sit for a second. Then I'll take a heat gun to it. Let's go ahead and demold our little extras that we did. I gotta get the gloves off. It's a little easier to demold when you don't have gloves on, and these gloves are thick, so they make it a little more difficult. Get my fingers out of there. All right. Okay. Now these mushrooms are difficult on their own, so let's just get this loose. He still feels a little soft. I think I'll wait on him. I think I'll wait on both of them. We'll just demold it all together. Let's just pop a few bubbles here. Alright guys, we will let this finish curing up, and then we will come back for the demold. Woohoo! I'll see you guys then.
Hey guys, so our cube is done. So let's see if I can get this tape off here. So I'll probably glue this along the side of the cube. I'm just hoping I didn't put that in the front. I can always go around the back. One side or the other. Okay, first let's get that out. Alright, Lord, please let this be good. Like I said, I get so nervous when it's for somebody else, especially a sentimental piece. I'm hoping it's perfect, but we'll see. Okay. Oh, I think she's going to love it. Let me flip this back the right way it goes. Throw that back over here. Isn't that pretty? And you can't see where the colors met. You can see a little bit of the wire, which is okay. Got his little alien in the front. Oh, she's going to be so happy. Now, there we go. Lights up. Oh, I think she's going to love that. And I will glue this on the side here. That way it's out of the way. Or I could just let it lay. Alright guys, I'll see you back for the next video. I'm so pleased with this. See you then. I just realized we forgot to demold our extras. Now this little thing had already had some color in it from another pour. We just finished pouring the green. And there is that baby snail. We're going to trim around the edge of him. He's a little rough around the edges. And now this should be completely cured to be able to demold it. So getting it around the top of this mushroom is rough. Once you can get it started, then it pops out fine. But there we go. That little mold has held up. I've had that thing forever. There is our green and blue mushroom. All right, guys. Now I'll see you back for the next video. Bye.